Hello and welcome to my new Let's Play of Civilization 4 Fall from Heaven 2, a mod, a total conversion mod, that changes a whole lot about this game. I'm Qualification, and we're going to get into a custom game as, of course, the Dwarves. Now this mod is really expansive and changes a whole lot of things about Civ 4. And there are a lot of unique features that really make each race very distinct. As well, there's obviously a lot of new gameplay features that are universal for everyone. And there's a particular map on which it's expected that you'll play, and that's Erebus, which is selected here. What I'm doing right now is setting up all of the civilizations that can be at the start of the game to be playing alongside us, except for the Khazad, which are the race we're playing as, the Dwarves. And there are a lot of races in this mod. Obviously there's 19 here, but there are 2 additional races that you cannot pick at the start of the game that will have a chance to appear later on in the game through the course of events that take place. The basic premise of this mod is that you're in a world that has just come out of an ice age that was induced by one of the members of its pantheon kind of getting upset. And he was killed just recently, and so now we're coming out of this ice age into, I believe, what's called the Age of Rebirth, which is when the world has started to thaw, and civilizations are starting to come out of the woodwork. And you can see here I've got for my options selected all victory conditions enabled except for time. City flipping after conquest, that kind of balances the culture civilizations that are in the game. No tech brokering, that's so that tech trading doesn't just basically make pointless diplomacy. New random seed on reload, that's actually, we don't really need that. I usually play with that in multiplayer, but this is a single-player game. So we have Blessings of Amathon, which will double the amount of bonuses that occur, which I believe refers to the proportion of events that can be beneficial or have positive outcomes for you. And this simply doubles the frequency of events. So there are a lot of unique events that occur in this mod. All unique features, there's a bunch of kind of terrain landmarks that have unique sort of qualities that affect gameplay. And having all in the game, along with all the base civilizations, is probably the most balanced way to play. So we're going to go ahead and just get right into this. We are playing as the Khazad, who are the dwarves that really didn't have any problems during the Ice Age because they were primarily underground. And now that the Ice Age is over, they're sending up some colonists to go and settle on the surface, expand their empire. And that's what we're doing, basically. So actually the stakes aren't that high for the Khazad, because even if they don't succeed on the surface, they still have their underground kingdoms to work with. And this is just showing the development of, the Age of Ice has ended, and now people are starting to come back. It says they're hordes of barbarians. Yeah, there's a major feature of this mod is actually that barbarians are a major threat pretty much through the whole game, especially if certain conditions are met that we'll explain further whenever we get in. This is just showing some of the civilizations in the game and their leaders. There are 21 total civilizations and several more leaders. Um, and each civilization has a base alignment, good, neutral, or evil, which is kind of displaying here. Um, and that alignment can change through the course of events during the game, either up or down 1 point. So you could be neutral and go to good, or evil to neutral, or vice versa. But you'll never be able to go from evil to good, or good to evil. Um, so this is just kind of showcasing a lot of the different civilizations, but it didn't show all of them, obviously, because the Khazad weren't mentioned there. Um, and I don't know why there's not any music here. I guess it's not supposed to be played. But we'll let this run because it's just kind of an opening sort of, I guess, not really cinematic, just a slideshow of kind of low quality images that have to do with the mod. I think that's probably because I'm playing in 1920 by 1080, which is a resolution those images obviously aren't made in. So yeah, it's mentioning blasphemy there. There's a lot of religions in the game. They all have very unique features. And we're going to see how that all plays out pretty shortly, and I'll explain things much more completely when we get into the actual game itself. So here we go, Fall from Heaven 2. And here we go, we are the Khazad. We start with the tech crafting, which enables winery and leads to masonry and mining, which are obviously, affiliated with the dwarves very strongly. Our hero is Meros. He's hero units are kind of a unique feature of this mod as well. They are units that gain experience just by existing and have kind of unique abilities or statistics, and they're often, your strongest units. As they level up, they will become the strongest anyways. We have a world spell. That's another unique feature of this mod. Every single civilization in the game has a world spell, which is an ability that they have that will affect the entire game world in some way. And they can use it once a game, and then later on you can research a very late game tech to use your world spell again. Our traits are industrious, organized, and ingenuity. Industrious and organized are from Beyond the Sword, and just for ingenuity, I don't think is. That gives you extra starting gold, which is very important for the Khazad because they have a unique mechanic. Like all the civilizations in Fall from Heaven 2 have a unique mechanic. You can see here we gain happiness and productivity bonuses based on the amount of gold in our treasury. And we also gain penalties based on how much gold is in our treasury. So our goal is to have our vaults, our Dwarven vaults, stocked with gold in order to gain happiness and production bonuses. Our starting alignment is neutral, as we pretty much just kind of didn't do anything during the whole Age of Ice, and I don't think that they were even really active in the Age of Magic, which preceded the Age of Ice. So actually, before we get into the game itself, I think I'll explain the background a little bit here so you kind of know what's going on and why each civilization is doing certain things. The basic timeline for the game world of Fall from Heaven 2, which is set in Erebus, a planet that is not Earth. It's it's flat. It's a constructed plane that was developed by a pantheon of gods who were themselves created by a single monotheistic, omnipotent, probably, deity that is not really involved in the game world anymore. So these gods all work together to make the planet of Erebus and create the sentient, sapient races that exist on it. But then there was a split, and several of the gods turned kind of evil, and they wanted to continue creating at their own will. And those are headed by Agares, who is the kind of like demon Satan equivalent of this game. And on the other side, there are a bunch of deities that want to protect and help the sapient races. And those are the good deities. And then there's also a number of deities that don't really care either way, and they're neutral. And the religions, there are quite a few in the game. They worship some of these deities, or in some cases, kind of other things. But usually, the religions in the game are tied to a specific deity. Um, so basically, what happened was all of the deities started attacking each other in a great calamity that was called the Gods' War, and that was ruining the planet. And so they decided, well, we can't continue this, or we're going to destroy everything. And they agreed to a treaty which forced them to stay out of the mortal world directly. So they're not supposed to interact directly on the plane of Erebus. And that was abided for quite a while. And then during that period of time, civilization prospered under the Age of Magic. That was basically kind of akin to, if you're familiar with Dragon Age Origins, the Tevinter Imperium. There was a single government that was similar to the Roman Empire or the Tevinter Imperium, who ruled through a magocracy, and it was headed by a guy named Kyloran, and it was very brutal, but also very powerful, and created many great wonders and things of that nature. And they're called Patria. And they fell apart whenever Kyloran, the guy in charge, kind of grew a conscience and realized that things weren't going well. But also because the Age of Ice began, and that's because one of the gods, the god of ice and winter, Mulkarn, decided to interfere on the mortal plane, and he showed up, killed the god of nature, and started an Age of Ice, which lasted until he was himself killed by Kyloran, and then began the Age of Rebirth, which is what we're in now. So, during that whole period of time, the dwarves weren't really doing a whole lot. They went underground, I think, in the Age of Magic, and before then they were not active as a civilization. There are two Dwarven civilizations in the game. The Khazad are the standard dwarves, the Tolkien-esque mountain dwellers who are interested in gold and mineral production and things of that nature. Dwarves of Dwarf Fortress, similar, I suppose. Obviously a lot more focused on honor than those ones are, though. So these dwarves lived underground during the Age of Ice. There was also a group of dwarves who stayed on the surface. Those are the Lusherp, and they are... they focus on training golems. So obviously there's a lot of influence from, as usually is with dwarves, there's a lot of influence from Judaism.